Thank you, everybody. I'm Charlie. This is the Women's History Month event on Women's Campus. This is brought to you by the CSN Women's Alliance and the Innocent Social Committee. I think, is Angel outside? Is Angel in here?
No, Angel's outside.
When you see Angel, thank her. She did so much to make this happen. The free food, the free drink you're enjoying is all her doing. I have very little, if anything, to do with it. It's all Angel. And because it's a Women's History Month event, I think there could be one event where a middle-aged white guy doesn't do all the talking. So I'm going to play a very small role in this. Do you have a question?
Is this like women in America or is it globally?
We'll see. We're going to introduce the softball team first, but before we get going, a couple things you need to know. There's a sign-in sheet out there, and it's not just for students. How many here are here because of extra credit? Extra credit rules, right? So if you're here for extra credit and a student, sign up and make sure you put what class you're in. If multiple classes have offered extra credit for you to be here, then make sure you put down multiple classes for yourself. If you are here because I offered it and somebody else offered it, and you just put my name, then you won't get extra credit for that other class. Right? So make sure you sign up for extra credit for every class that's offered it. Faculty and staff, I know we're not used to signing in, but you need to sign in too, so we can justify the LPO for all those free food and drinks we're enjoying. Okay, so sign in. Presenters, I hate to say this, but there is a waiver form because we're videoing this, so please sign that. For those of you that brought a dessert and got a raffle ticket, we're going to do the drawing after all the presentations. So make sure you hold on to that, and we'll do the drawing. The drawing is brought to you by the bookstore. So, I've said enough. I would like to introduce one of the assistant coaches for the CSN softball team. Her name is Amanda Montalto. Did I get her?
Yeah.
Okay. So she will introduce the softball team. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, I'm Amanda. First, let me introduce some of the girls. Okay, this isn't our whole team. A lot of them are still in class right now, but
My name is Maggie Manhorn. I'm a freshman and I play center field.
My name's Amber Rabb. I'm a freshman and I'm a utility player.
My name is Chelsea Perez. I'm a freshman.
I'm Matthew Gurley and I'm a cheerleader.
I'm Vanessa Sanders. I'm a national player.
I'm Kiana Kapala and I'm a freshman and I'm
okay, how many actually knew that we had a softball team here? Great. Okay, that's not everybody. So yes, we have a softball team here. We've been around since 2004. Our head coach is actually in the back. Cal, you want to wave? That's Coach Cal. He's been the head coach. This is his fourth season. The reason why I'm talking is because I'm the only female on staff. So right now we've got a pretty good record going on. We're 20 and 11. We're in the middle of our conference play, and we've been doing pretty well. But some fun things that you don't really know, and I didn't really know until I read this piece of paper, is our graduation rate is actually very low. I came from a Division I program coaching, and our graduation rate was normally 80%, meaning most of our kids didn't graduate. They would either quit or they just wouldn't finish. But here we have 100% graduation rate. For kids who stay for the full 2 years, they all graduate. They all go on 4 years. And with that, they go on to play at 4 years. Like, you know, Ariel Franz, for example, is at Boise State University. And everybody know where Boise State is? Come on, it's Boise, we all know. Boise, Idaho. Okay, we got a kid that went to Oregon State, 2 of them that went to Utah Valley. So we like to send our kids to big schools. We like to send our kids to D1 schools. And honestly, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for, you know, the past and changing things around for women. For myself, for example, I was the first person in my family to go out of state. First person in my family to get a scholarship for athletics. And that would have never happened if it wasn't for, you know, the history that comes with women's rights. And, you know, with that, I was able to graduate college in 4 years and go and get a job right out of the bat, making $30,000. And that's unheard of for somebody who's coming out of college. And so, you know, it's nice to know that that's open for females, and we're coming around and we're doing things that you don't really see. You know, we just picked up a volleyball team this year, and we're going to pick up soccer, women's soccer and men's soccer. So, you know, a lot of good things is happening with women's, and especially with women athletics. And a big thing is attributed to that is Title IX. And with Title IX, we just got our clubhouse built. And, you know, everybody know where Mod 3 is? Mod 3? Come on, guys, light it up. Yeah, we know where Mod 3 is. That's our clubhouse. And thanks to, number one, our new athletic director, Dexter, and number two, Title IX, we have that clubhouse. And now, starting in the probably late summer or early fall, we're going to get a field built. Okay, as we can tell on campus, there's only one field here, and that's baseballs. So now we're getting to the point where we're going to have a field. Then we're going to have a nice clubhouse right next to it. We're equaling things out, and things are really turning around for women athletics. And honestly, I'm very humbled to be a part of what's going on here. And I mean, you ever see one of these girls walking around, stop them, I'm sure they'd be happy to talk about what's going on. You know, they love to talk about softball. They love to talk about how good they're doing. They're doing very well. We had a little rocky spot, but we're turning it around. And with our sophomores right now, we've got 3 of them that are looking to go to D1 schools. And it's very, like I was talking about with the other girls, it's hard to get from a JUCO to D1 right away. You know, some people end up going to either not playing after JUCO or going to a D2, going to a D3. But these kids are going to a D1 and going to go compete for a national championship. And, you know, that would not happen at all if it wasn't for these women's rights. And they wouldn't even be getting their education if it wasn't for that. All of our kids are on scholarship. That's amazing. You know, when I went to school, I got a 60% scholarship to go out of state. I don't have to pay for student loans. And that would have never happened, 8 years ago? Never would have happened. But now it is, and you know, all these kids are going to be very happy about it, and I'm happy I don't have to pay student loans. You know, I get to put that in the savings and maybe go buy a house. But any questions for the softball team? Any at all?
When are you guys playing again?
Home, we play next week. So what day would that be? What date?
Friday the 10th?
The 10th? We'll play the 10th. Yep.
Where we could go to watch the game? Like, we have to
Where we play is we're actually off campus. We're about, depending on which way you take, we're about 10 to 20 minutes away. If you take the freeway, depending on how fast you drive, we're about 7 to 8 minutes away. If you take the freeway down to the Russell exit and you make a right, and then you'll keep driving until you get to the Boulder intersection, and you're going to see the field with the blue fence in the back. That's our field. You will have to pay. You get a student discount. I'm not sure what that is. It's $5. But I mean, you're going to come and watch the girls kick some butt?
Was that Saturday?
That's Friday and Saturday. On Friday, our games start at 1, and it's a doubleheader, so we'll play 2 games. On Saturday, our games start at noon. So I know that you had a question back there?
Yeah, you answered my question. It said $5 a ticket.
Oh yeah, $5. Faculty, there's a discount for faculty as well, and that is $5. Any other questions? Yeah.
What time is the game?
On Friday, it's at 1 and 3, and then on Saturday, it's noon and 2. Any other questions?
Yeah, this field over here you guys have, is that where they practice?
No, that field that's right over here on campus, that's baseball field. Our field will practice on the field that we play on, which is on Russell and Boulder. Sometimes we'll come and use the cages, but most of our practices are down at Russell and Boulder. Yes, sir.
Can you explain the difference between baseball and softball and why we can't play on baseball?
big sport. So the difference between baseball and softball, I see some baseball guys back there, right? Okay.
Sit in the back, imagine that.
So the difference between baseball and softball is baseball it's 90 feet, right?
Yes.
From home to first? Okay, so it's 90 feet, softball it's 60 feet. For baseball, the pitchers sit up on a mound, okay, so mound that's about, like this, and goes downward. We don't stay on the mound like that, we're flat. How far is it from the pitcher to home?
60 feet, 6
60? Okay, so from pitcher to home is 60 feet, for us it's 43. Biggest difference, obviously, if you don't know anything about baseball, anything about softball, the very easy difference is the way the pitcher throws. Baseball, they'll go overhand, softball, or underhand. So you'll see with softball a lot more up pitches. We have something called a slapper, so Maggie, you want to come on in. All right. We've got this thing called slapping, where you basically run through the box and you hit the ball. So you want to show? Yep. Yeah, you just run through it and you just hit it. Okay. What people like that, people like Maggie call slappers, they like to just hit the ball and beat it out. And with you're cutting down the distance from home to first when you run through the box. Where a normal hitter, back up. Where a normal hitter. See, with a normal hitter, she doesn't run through the box, she just stays there. And then as soon as she hits the ball, she's got to play me up. So that's some of the biggest differences. The ball size, baseball's about this big, softball this big. The color of the softball is yellow, like a neon yellow. Baseball's white. There's probably 84 stitches on baseball, stitches on softball. But that's basically the main differences for people who don't really know a lot about the two sports. So that is why we can't practice on the baseball field, because their bases are a lot bigger than ours, and they have a big old mound in the middle, and we don't play with the big mound in the middle. Any other questions? Yeah? How long is the season? Well, we started January 31st, and we have 20 games left. And that's in regular season. And after regular season, we'll play postseason, which means we're going to play every single team that we've played in the past 5 weeks. We're going to play them again in regionals. And whoever wins that will go to the World Series. And then the World Series is May 15th to 16th. So that's when you decide who's the best team in the United States. It's very exciting. I think we've got the team to do it this year. We started out with 23 kids. And we dropped down to 13, so if everybody's good at math, which that's pretty easy, we dropped 10 kids. But we've got a good group. The chemistry is very good. Minor injuries pop up every once in a while, and when that happens, you kind of just have to run with it and see whatever falls into play and see how you can figure that out. And we're finally getting back on it. I talked about this 2 weeks that we hit a rock, but we're finally getting back on it. So, any other questions? No? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Another cool thing that's different between baseball and softball is our softball team has awesome fun chants they do. It makes being there really, really fun. Seriously, all due respect, fellas. But oh, come on. Come on. Just a quick one.
Come on, girls. I'll cut down your conditioning. I'll cut down your conditioning.
this year, right, which is pretty awesome. That's all right. We have a great speaker now. She is a friend and a colleague. She's here on the Henderson campus. She is a professor of political science. She's going to do a talk on women in politics. So give a warm Henderson welcome to Ladella Levy.
Good afternoon. So great to be here. Title IX, as we discussed, guarantees equal pay for men and women both in sports and in education. It was actually part of the Civil Rights Act that had 10 titles to it, dealing with educational equity and also equity in sports. As we delve into the history of women in politics, this is just a very brief discussion, part of a larger discussion. I will be creating a class on women in politics. And this is just an introduction, just to let you know how powerful you are as women and the impact and legacy and the voice that you exude. You are powerful beyond measure. Where would the civil rights movement be without women? And the prepping, preparing the way and the peace for the men to go to the forefront, and the women who were in the forefront of the hills, largely enough. Where would the suffrage movement be without your Susan B. Anthony, your Simone Truth, your Lucretia Mott? Where would the impact be of the French Revolution and the women who served in the coffee shops and salons, who gathered, who organized, who prepared and discussed and paved and laid the way and the foundation for the movement that was shortly come thereafter? It is so profound, the impact of women in politics. It is unmeasured. It is unquantified. If I were to sit here and speak for hours during one of the longest filibusters in America, I still would not give women the justice that they far deserve, far the unsung heroes in the academy. The history that I would like to delve into actually predates the passage of the voting. Women getting the right to vote in the 19th amendment. If we were to look at the history of women and voting, it would compel you to never give up the basic principle of being able to cast your ballot, and have a participatory role in our culture. Over the course of the century, however, women in America in particular, as I will focus my attention on in this brief discussion, have moved dramatically, though still not equally, into all aspects of public life. Politics, the labor force, participation, professions, the media, and popular culture. In 1900, women's legal standing was fundamentally governed by their marital status. They had very few rights. A married woman had no separate legal identity from that of her husband. She had no right to control her biological reproduction. Even conveying information about contraception, for example, was illegal. And no right to sue or be sued, since she had no separate standing in court. She had no right to own property in her own name or to pursue a career of her choice. Women could not vote, serve on juries, or hold public office. According to the Supreme Court, they were not, quote, persons under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which guarantees equal protection under the law. So, for those who dared to go against the grain, for those who dared to be different, let me tell you their stories. Interesting, 1848, the first women's rights convention in the United States took place in Seneca Falls, New York, convened by Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, Sojourner Truth, and others active in the anti-slavery movement. It resulted in a declaration of sentiments modeled on the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration demanded a variety of rights for women, including suffrage, the right to vote. 1866, Elizabeth Cady Stanton was the first woman to run for the U.S. House of Representatives, even though she was not eligible to vote. As fast as 1872, Victoria Woodhull, a stockholder, publisher, and protege of Cornelius Vanderbilt, ran for president. 1872. Of the United States on the Equal Rights Party ticket. 1884. Belva Lockwood, the first woman admitted to practice the law before the U.S. Supreme Court, ran for president on the Equal Rights Party ticket. 1887, no, 1800s. When did women acquire the right to vote? 1920. Powerful. Women, we are powerful beyond measure. We dare to tread where no one dares to tread. But we do it and we get it done efficiently. When we have a voice and exercise that basic fundamental right to pursue equality, even when equality has not been made for us. 1887, Susanna Salter was elected mayor of Arjona, Kansas, the first woman mayor in the country. 1887. 1894, 3 women were elected to the Colorado House of Representatives, the first women elected to any state legislature. 1896, Martha Hughes Cannon was elected to the Utah State Senate, becoming the first woman state senator. 1900, Frances Waring of Wyoming became the first woman delegate to a Republican National Convention. In the same year, Elizabeth Cohen of Utah was chosen as an alternate to the Democratic National Convention. When another delegate became ill, Cohen became the first woman delegate to the Democratic National Convention. I'm going to give you 2 more. Gianna Rankin, 1917, a Republican from Montana, entered the U.S. House of Representatives, the first woman ever elected to Congress. 1920. After 72 years of struggle, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified, giving women the right to vote. Profound. Profound. Interesting. When we look at the history of women's rights, our contribution, our impact in American politics is unsurpassed. Looking even at women of color, of the 99 women serving in the 113th U.S. Congress, 30 or 30.30% are women of color. In addition, an African American woman and Caribbean American woman serve as delegates to the House from Washington, D.C. and the Virgin Islands, respectively. Of the 74 women serving in statewide elected offices, 11 or 15.1% are women of color. Of the 1,784 state legislators serving nationwide, 371 or 20.8% are women of color. They include 93 senators, 278 representatives, 347 Democrats, 22 are Republicans, and 1 is non-partisan. Women of color constitute 5.0% of the total 7,383 legislators. Interesting. The number of Asian American women elected to U.S. Congress, statewide elected offices, state legislators, and big city mayors. The number of Hispanic American women serving in office, the numbers went from during the Kennedy-Johnson administration at 0% to the President Obama administration at 29.3%, respectively. The number of women appointed just under President Obama's tenure included high-level appointments, cabinet positions, cabinet level, Supreme Court appointments, Sylvia Matthews, Burwell Secretary of Health and Human Services, Christy Goldfuss, Managing Director of the White House Council on Environmental Equality, Sally Jewell, Secretary of the Interior. This is just under the President Obama's tenure. these appointments of women to high-ranking positions, high-level appointments. Latifia Lyles, Acting Director of the Women's Bureau Department of Labor. Cecilia Munoz, Director of Domestic Policy Council. Penny Bitzler, Secretary of Commerce. Susan Rice, National Security Advisor. Maria Sweet, Administrator, Small Business Administration. Valerie Jarrett, Senior Advisor to President Obama. Elena Kagan, Supreme Court Justice. Gina McCarthy, Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. Samantha Power, UN Ambassador. Edith Bermudez, Federal Trade Commission Chairperson. Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice. And to completely inundate you, I will continue. Mary Jo White, Chairperson of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Janet Yellen, Chairman of the Federal Reserve System Board of Governors. Melody Barnes, Director of Domestic Policy Council. Mind you, they are actively serving in their positions right now. Regina Benjamin, Surgeon General. Carol Bronner, White House Coordinator, Energy and Climate Policy. Sylvia Matthews Burnell, Director of Office of Management and Budget. Hillary Rodham Clinton, Secretary of State. Karen Gordon Mules, Administrator, Small Business Administration. Lisa E. Jackson, Administrator of Environmental Protection Agency. Sarah Manzano Diaz, Director of the Women's Bureau Department of Labor. Ellen Morgan, Communications Director. Janet Napoleano, Director or Secretary of Homeland Security. Julia Pearson, Director of U.S. Secretary of Service. Christina Romer, Chairwoman of the Council of Economic Advisors. Mary L. Shapiro, Chairperson of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Hilda Sowell, Secretary of Labor. Nancy Sutley, Chairwoman of the White House Council on Environmental Quality. And lastly, Kathleen Sullis, Secretary of Health and Human Services. Women, we have come a long way. We have come so far, I don't even think we realize the impact that we are currently having, not only on this administration, but in political governance as a whole. So the question that I pose for you is, with all of the contribution, with all of the impact, what do you choose to do to make your legacy known? As a woman, you have so much potential. You have so much power. What will you do to make a contribution? What will you do to make your legacy known? If not now, plan. If not tomorrow, next year. But please understand that you make a difference. Please understand that if you don't, no one else will. Please understand that one person can, and often will, and often does, make a significant difference in the transition of change. Look at our legacy. Look at our history. Once beholden to our husbands, dependent on their rite of passage, we are running things. We are controlling the direction and nature of this country. Yes, this is a vote for equal rights. Yes, this is a Woman Hear Me war speech. Why? Because we are the unsung heroes. We are the forgotten in this country. We are the ones set aside, cast aside. But yet, the strength that we bear, the energy we exude, is far beyond you can ever imagine or think. So lift up your head, hold up your hands, pick up your stride, put a shift to your hip, and keep it moving. And whatever you do, don't forget to vote. Don't forget to have an impact in your community, in your families. Where you tread, a woman stepped here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Libby. Frederick Douglass once said, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will, right? So if you expect shit to just happen because you want it to, it ain't, right? She's telling truth here. So if you want something, take it, right? If you want something, ask for it, right? Sorry, public service announcement real quick. There's a sign-in sheet. If you're a student here for extra credit, sign in for every class that is offering you extra credits. If you're a faculty or staff, also sign in. That way it helps justify the LPO. That's Angel right there. Come here real quick.
Come on.
Come here. So I can multitask and log in while you walk up here. This is Angel Clemens. She is the chair of the Henderson Social Committee. She is responsible for making the vast majority of this happen. So thank you. Thank her. There's going to be a raffle for said ticket. The prizes are here. It's sponsored by the bookstore. The raffle will be after the event is over, after Dr. Westmoreland speaks. Thank you so much, Angel. Our next speaker is a close friend of mine. I love Professor Mason. I had the great honor of serving on her tenure committee just recently, and she just recently was informed that she got tenure, so. Tenure's awesome, by the way, for those of you that don't know what it is. Just trust me, it's the cool thing you get as a professor. Just trust me. Dr. Elsa is going to give a talk on women. Yeah, that. Women re-entering the workforce. So give it up for Professor Mason. Thank you, everybody.
Hopefully you all can hear me. I think I'm losing my voice, but I'm trying to do this much, but I think I'm loud. So I'll try to speak loud. So this presentation is really dedicated to women who have taken extended leave from the labor force and intended to re-enter the workforce, or for those of you who are in a position to help and support and encourage women in your life, thank you, who have to support and encourage women in your life who have taken that extended leave. So are any of you in that situation? Okay, some of you. So this is dedicated to those women. So let's look a little bit at working mothers. The number of working women who also care for children at home has remained pretty steady over the last couple of decades. In 1997, 78% of working women cared for children in grade school, 6 to 17-year-olds. And then in 2013, so just a couple years ago, it was at 74. So it hasn't really changed too much. The number of working women that had children younger than 6 held pretty steady too, 65% in 97 to 64% or so to in 2013. And then in 1997, 83% of new mothers returned to the labor force within 6 months of giving birth, and 17% quit work shortly thereafter, staying home with their children. However, the numbers of married mothers who work outside the home have drastically increased from half to 2/3. Half of the married mothers who worked outside the home in 1980 to 2/3 in 2013. And the number of single mothers working outside the home has increased even more, from half in 1980 to 3/4 in 2013. So 2/3 to 3/4 of women juggle a career and children at the same time. The number of women in the workforce has drastically increased over the last century. 5.3 million women in the workforce in the 1900s, when Frances Warren was the first delegate to the Republican National Convention. From the presentation we just heard, to 18.4 million in 1950, 63 million in 1997, and almost 65 million today are working women in the workforce. So in the last decade, couple decades, it's kind of held pretty steadily. Education, health services, wholesale and retail trade, professional business services, and leisure and hospitality employ the largest percentage of working women. So these industries employ about 70% of working women. In contrast, Fisher is one of our CSN students quite a few years ago in the welding lab. So definitely non-traditional. Of the 65,000 women, 25 and older, participating in the labor force, there's varied levels of education. 6.7% of high school diploma and college, 17% or so, some college, 12.7% an associate's degree, and almost 40% with a bachelor's degree or higher. So there is some competition out there for women education-wise. If you want to get a better job, you definitely want to go for the higher education. So let's examine some of the issues that women need to consider when entering the workforce. Is the woman returning because of necessity? Do they need money? Has there been, say, an unemployment or a layoff in the family, recently perhaps separated or divorced? Is it because of personal fulfillment? Perhaps they haven't been able to use their education that they acquired prior to staying home. Perhaps they want to be a role model to their children. Their children are perhaps grown and they want to show their children that they can also attain this education. Maybe they're there to please someone else. They want to go back and please someone else. Or out of boredom, because they're bored at home, they want to go back, they want to make their skills useful. Or out of obligation, feeling like they need to contribute their fair share to the household income. Or career exploration, because they're ambitious, because they want to explore their full potential that they can attain. So another question, another thing to ask is, what has the woman been doing? Raising children, so leaving that legacy behind and encouraging, raising our children, encouraging them to be the best they can, staying home with them. Or perhaps caring for parents or elders. Maybe they've been volunteering or caring for an ill spouse or for other people's children. Say like an aunt watching sister's children or taking over a family member's children who passed. So what kind of barriers might a woman encounter when they're trying to return to the workforce after an extended leave? As we know, sometimes our skills may get a little rusty. Maybe technology changes really, really quickly. Maybe we haven't kept up with it along the years. Of course, education. Education changes a lot as well, and maybe we haven't kept up with that education